The needle pulling thread.
It takes so long to get ready for a shoot, especially when you're doing it without any hope. Okay. All right.
I like it.
Thank you. Well, Shalom, Shalom, Israel. I am Rebekah bat Yehovah, and this is
Isaac.
This is a super big treat to have Isaac join me tonight for this. And he said yes. So I always ask, and every once in a while, he's on board and he says yes. So this is going to be a short thing, a short little conversation here between the two of us that I want you to listen in on. I am filming this for the university, for the Rebekah's Inner Circle, but this time I am going to actually also let my YouTube audience kind of check out this video, and then if you're interested in more, you can join the university Rebekah's Inner Circle, and the link will be below. So in the description below, Rebekah's Inner Circles in Kingdom University. But this is a super important topic, so I really felt like I just wanted to expand it, not only to give you an idea of what the Kingdom University is like, but to help to focus your head in this age.
Or refocus.
Refocus, yes.
Probably.
Probably. Yeah, because, okay, so we're going to kind of banter and chat as much as Isaac is willing. So this is a very, very important topic.
Yes.
Especially as what we're dealing with right now in the world, and you can see that prophecy is coming true. So in your own words, what is the topic tonight? What is the question on the table?
How to endure, survive, endure.
Yeah. You have to speak up.
Finish strong.
Finish strong. That's good.
At the end of the age.
Very good. Okay, so I had somebody ask me this week how to know if her faith was strong enough to endure the end of the age. So I feel like that is the question on the table that I really want to address tonight for my students in Rebekah's Inner Circle, because I really want, in the Rebekah's Inner Circle, it's all about living this kingdom life at a master level. Mm-hmm. And the master level, at master level, you're going to be operating different than the world. And you can see now, there's a real, there needs to be a separation seen between the people of Yahuwah and how they're operating and acting and reacting and the choices that they're making, and the people of the world, right? And so I want to talk about that because I think it's on everybody's minds right now, really.
And how would you state what is on everybody's minds? How would you state the question that's on the table?
The question that's on the table that I think people are kind of worried about, thinking about, is, how is this going to affect me, and do I have what it takes to get there, and they're also, I feel like, worried about what's coming down the pike. And so they're not necessarily worried about the virus, because we all know it's a hoax on some level. We all know that, it's, and I don't know if, I'm not here to say that I know much about that. That's not really what I'm here to talk about. I have my own, we have our own research that we've done, and we know how it's affected us and how his company's dealing with it, and how Maggie's companies deal with it. So, and we know the facts. On some level, we know that the hospital here is pretty much empty. So there's a lot of hype over something and everybody knows that it's not about that. It's not about the virus.
Right.
It's about something. People are not scared of that. The kingdom people aren't scared of that. Kingdom people are scared of the idea that, oh my, like, I can see the handwriting on the wall. I can see the government, like, taking control, and evil people stepping up and controlling, Hasatan controlling through these evil people. And so everybody can see, who has eyes to see, can kind of start to see, oh my, everything I read in Revelation, it just might come true, like, in my lifetime.
Right.
Yeah, sooner than later. I mean, everything changed overnight, so you saw how fast that happened. So now it's like, wow, how fast will everything else happen?
Mm-hmm.
And what about my family? What about my children? What about me? Can I handle the pain? I mean, like, and people's minds are going absolutely crazy right now. Kingdom people, believers, they're thinking along the lines of, torture. And I really want to say, wait, back up, Israel. We need to not focus on that. We need to focus on something else. So I kind of want to, like, help you kind of refocus. I want to give you what I think, how I calm myself down. It's important to really take captive your thoughts in this hour, So, yeah.
And before I forget this thought,
yeah,
I'd also like to distinguish between a thought entering our head and our actions.
Oh, huge.
Because we're talking about,
yes.
We want to talk mostly about, we want to talk about actions.
Right.
And what we're doing, what's distinguishing us,
right.
How are we acting like kingdom people.
Right.
And so, a thought that enters a head, that's not really the issue. That happens.
Right.
So I think we need to not beat ourselves up too much.
Yeah.
Just because a crazy thought entered our head.
Right.
What we choose to do with it. And,
right.
I think we need to look at our actions.
Like a kingdom person. Will a kingdom person be operating like the masses? So what are the masses? No, a kingdom person will not be operating like the masses. So what are the masses doing right now? They're freaking out about, and so you walk into, like, stores and you see people with the masks on and stuff, and there's only 14 people in the hospital and no one else around has it, and it's just kind of the flu, and you're like, why, and they're watching so much media that the media, and this is what I want to talk about. Like, I want to talk about the...
Yeah, that's a really good point, because that's an action.
That's action.
And so, like, now I'm seeing people who are... Now they realize, maybe it's not going to materialize or really be so bad, but let's stay the course.
Right.
Keep the distance. Keep the mask. Keep all these measures in place, so that we don't have, like, this... It's not a relapse. It's
recurrence of it,
where something will also all of a sudden just, like, spike and take off if we're not careful and we start to relax a little bit. And that thought has been fed to people from where I don't know, because I haven't been watching the news, but they must have been watching or listening to something.
Sure.
So that's an action I think that's worth checking is, how are you reacting, when it comes on the news?
Right.
Are you flipping it off instantly?
Right. Or do you sit there and keep eating it and keep consuming it and then allow that into your heart?
And are you deliberately tuning in, like, ever? You should definitely need to check that.
Yeah, like turning it on so you can see the latest update when you know that the news channels are only, like, owned by 6 private companies or something like that, and they're going to feed you what they want you to know.
Yeah, and I was noticing that. I was channel surfing, and an advertisement came on from a local burger joint. And, of course, the advertisement is, ends with a plug for the restaurant, but it begins with this rehearsal of all these policies and measures and stuff that we're all supposed to be doing. I was like, good grief. But then I realized, okay, that burger joint doesn't own the airtime.
Right.
Okay, they don't control that.
Right.
That probably wasn't their idea.
Right.
That was the media.
That was the media's idea.
That owns that airtime and that has directed probably and produced
probably
those ads.
It's just like on YouTube. You see a ton of YouTubers now because YouTube finally released the ability for YouTubers to make money and to monetize their stuff if you talk about this. And now they can monetize it. So now you see like YouTubers like posting like stay at home. So they're like promoting it. Like don't not stay at home.
Wardrobe check.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say the other another action would be like the panic that there wasn't going to be the toilet paper anymore or the food supply or whatever, and so everybody went in and bought everything up. If everybody had just calmed down and just did normal stuff, I think it would have been fine. But anyway, so to stock up, to panic about like, do I have enough beans? Really, like.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here are some great opportunities to practice, because I think that's what probably most people need,
practice.
Because probably most people could sit down and do some sort of video like this, because most people probably that are listening anyway probably know a lot of what we're going to say or have heard it before, but it's just not sticking and it's not maintaining.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're going to remember?
I'll remember. It's written down.
So my point, which isn't written down, was that we need to look for opportunities to practice. Like, you need to see yourself passing up on the toilet paper or the paper towels or whatever.
Yeah.
And you need to see yourself, being brave and saying, no, I'll be fine.
Right.
I'll be okay.
Right. Well, today, and that goes into the 51st dates I want to mention in a minute. But that reminds me, like, today, Hadassah had her second to last orthodontist appointment. She's supposed to get her braces off on Monday, right? And so they had rescheduled with me 2 or 3 times. They've canceled and rescheduled. It's been nuts. And so finally we had one nailed down for today. I drive an hour to her appointment and get over there. And they have a little hut sitting outside. You had to go through these lines, and you couldn't go inside until they asked you all these questions. And they're asking Hadassah, do you have any symptoms of COVID-19? And I'm like, she looks at me, and I'm like, she doesn't know what you're talking about. And then the lady goes, well, we're going to take her temperature. And she pulls out the temperature. I said, no, you're not. I said, I will walk away. I'm okay with walking away. And so the orthodontist had actually come out of it was his day off, and he actually came special to see Hadassah. So he was there, and they called him out. He understood completely. Like I said, I'm not playing this game. And he said the only reason I can stay open is because if I play the game. And he said, you don't have to play the game, but I do. So, we came, he was awesome. He actually looked at her in the parking lot just a little bit, just looked to see, we're still on schedule for taking him off. But now, we're going to wait. I'm going to wait until this mandate is over, and he doesn't have to, actually scan her, her temperature. I'm like, why? She's completely healthy. I'm completely healthy. I am not going to play the game. So that's where I'm setting myself apart. And I actually took the consequence. Everyone there, all the ladies knew that I had just driven an hour, and I'm not caving. Like, It's just, it's part of the consequence that I pay for not acting like the pagans. So to whatever freedom level I can do that is I'm going to exercise that right.
And I just want to piggyback my previous point on yours.
No, it was
good. Again, like, it would be really easy, like, for Rebekah to have rationalized that and say, oh, it's just a, quick digital scan. It's not going to hurt anything. And I did drive an hour and a half. It would be so easy to rationalize that. But it would also be a missed opportunity to practice being brave, to practice having a backbone, to practice sticking up for what one believes. Because aren't these the things that we're afraid of coming down the pike is, will I be strong enough to stand up for my faith, to be persecuted, to hold strong, and all that. Well, why not start
practice
practicing
now. Yeah, exactly. Like persecution. That's persecution in my opinion. Like, I feel that's persecution.
And I wonder if
And
persecution, if there is any, coming in the future our way with the end of the age, if it might not be a whole lot more subtle. Or a different form
totally.
than we've been imagining.
Oh, absolutely. Like the 666 and the number, or the number, the mark of the beast and stuff. I mean, that's going to be like, you're going to be like, well, I just kind of want to buy and sell. I mean, I need some food, so how harmful can that be? And then you're going to allow it, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think everybody's going to be put on, not everyone's going to be put on a torture rack, people. This is subtle. This is so subtle. And I think you're completely right on that. I mean, that was super good.
Okay.
No, we could talk about that for a long time. I think, though, I want to check audio just to make sure. Okay. Because this is so good. I don't want to have missed audio. So.
Okay. I'm not looking at the camera.
That's okay. Well, you can every once in a while. Look at the camera every once in a while.
I have, when I thought of it, but I haven't looked at it while I was actually talking.
It's hard. It's hard. You can look at me when you're talking. We can look at each other. Look at the camera once in a while.
I hope I've done that a little.
It's right there. Just look at the whole screen there.
Okay.
All right. So, no, that's super good. So I want to kind of back up to why we wanted to speak to Israel right now. Especially, my channel, my ministry, our ministry. I do it more than he does, but Isaac is totally on board and is there for me anytime I need, and it does a ton in the background. So, but we wanted to talk to Israel right now, the scattered, and that's our ministries towards the scattered. That I kind of want to back up a sec, because here's the thing is Israel's number one problem in the past has always been forgetting. Okay? So Israel, hello, I want to take your head in my hands and I want to shake you and I want to remind you of a few things. Okay, so I don't know how many of you have seen 50 First Dates. Who plays in it? Drew Barrymore and...
Yeah.
Adam Sandler. Okay, so I like that movie for the fact that it's hilarious on one level. Some things aren't so hilarious, but one thing that I really like about it is this amnesia idea that she wakes up every single morning and doesn't remember who she is. Doesn't remember where she is. She doesn't remember anything except the day she lost her memory and back. And I really feel like, number one, I think Isaac wakes up that way a lot of days. It's just kind of how it is. So then I have told myself a lot. I'm like, if I ever have a chance, I'm going to make a DVD for my hubby. Kind of like that. Like in 50 First Dates, he makes her a DVD, and every time she wakes up in the morning, there's a note on it, put it in, and then it goes over her life to bring her up to speed. And I feel like I need to do that for him every single day almost. It's getting a little better, but I feel like I want to do that for you. I feel like Israel still forgets. This is number one problem. It hasn't gone away. Okay, idolatry and forgetting. It still hasn't gone away. So today I just want to speak about I want to speak into your life about what it is you need to remember as we walk here forward into the telos. That's what it's called, the telos, the very end time, the very, very end time. So there's the long part of the tail, and then there's a little tiny part of the tail, right?
Telos, and then the Suntalia. As we walk into the Suntalia.
Unless
I got it backwards, but that's the little white tip.
The little bit, yeah.
On the dog's tail.
Yeah. And if you don't know what we were talking about, it's a Michael Rood thing, and it's a Revelation thing. It's a word that's used to describe the end of the age, the very, very end. All right, so, and I feel like I want to give you something that I'm calling an immunization to the world, and it's MMRR. Okay? MMRR immunization. All right? That's what I want to give you. So we're not going to be taking the immunization that the world's going to give us. I want to give you an MMRR immunization against the world. Okay? This is so that you can remember. Okay, so we're going to start off with the fact that, and always interrupt me if you want.
Okay.
With thoughts, because I love Isaac's thoughts.
All right. Okay. Hopefully I'll have one.
We have 2 governments, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. We have a evil kingdom and we have a good kingdom. We have the kingdom of the world and we have the kingdom of heaven. Okay, so the kingdom of heaven is what Yahshua said, go tell everyone about the kingdom of heaven is here. It's coming, it's here. So we have the kingdom of heaven, right? And he always spoke against the world. He said you can't serve the world and Yahovah, right? So you can't serve over here and be part of this over here. You're one or the other. And what does Yahovah say? He says, like, get off the fence. I'm tired of you being, wishy-washy. One or the other, right? And there's another lot, like, but okay. So the world is like sure death. Everybody who serves that world and is subject to that, or citizens of that world, are going to die.
That ship is going to go down.
That ship's going to go down. It's like the Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the kingdom of heaven, though it's citizens of the kingdom of heaven, there's sure life there. You're going to have life there. Life everlasting, okay? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily, full on, beautiful, wonderful, everlasting life right here, although everlasting life, Yeshua clarified, is knowing Yahovah, because Yahovah is the one that delivers through his son, and Yahovah is the one that's going to restore everything, and he's the one that's covenant maker and all that stuff. So that's for another time, but I just want to make sure that we're clear here that there are 2 kingdoms, all right, and they're citizens of both kingdoms, okay? And so the government of the world treats its citizens horrible. Absolutely horrible. You can see it right now. You can see what's happening. Like, it's getting so, like, obvious. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Like, really black and white, isn't it? It's like, It's so, I mean, for those people that have eyes to see and ears to hear, it's like, what? Really? Like, you're really, like, the sheep going right off the cliff with it? It doesn't seem logical. There's no logic to this at all.
Yeah, there seems to be some people out there that still think that the government has their
best interest at heart.
At heart.
Okay. Anyway, so I was in shopping the other day for food, and I saw this image. I mean, I'm seeing it all the time now, as I'm sure you are, but like, I saw this old lady, and she's in there, and she's got this huge coat on. She has huge gloves on, thick gloves, not the thin ones, but the thick gloves. She has this huge mask on her face, and she's got her socks pulled up over her pants, and she's trying desperately to get, this stuff from this cart into this place and all this other jazz, and stay at the line. They have those stupid lines and stuff, and so she's doing, and my heart just broke for her. I mean, terrified. She's terrified. And I was like, okay, the citizens of the world, they're the king of that world, which is Hasatan, a prince of that world, or whatever. He blinds and then he terrorizes his citizens. That's what he does. He blinds them and then he terrorizes them. And you can see it like clear as day right now. If you don't do what I'm telling you to do, I'll shut you down. If you don't do what I do, you're going to get the virus. If you don't do what I say to do, or not what I do, if you don't do what I say to do, I mean, it's like this insane blindness and then terrorizing them, right? And in the dark, you're going to be more terrorized than in the light, right? You're going to see something and it's not going to be on the level of terror when you are in the light. So at night, you might see somebody coming up the hall, and it might terrorize you because it's dark and you don't know who it is. But if you have eyes to see and you have light, and it's like, oh, it's Isaac coming up the hall. I'm not terrified, right?
I'm not scared.
It's like, anyway, so I hope you're enjoying this conversation, because this is good. This is unusual. So I love this. I know, baby.
Well, I'd also like to point out that they. Okay.
No,
you
go
remember
ahead.
your train?
It's right here. Yeah,
okay.
I got it.
We're gonna come right back there.
Yep.
But it's just the hoops.
The hoops.
It's like if you agree to jump through hoops,
right?
Then the hoops are gonna get like fancy and like flaming hoops
or smaller,
knives,
taller, yeah.
and they're gonna be like there's gonna be a lot of them.
A lot of them.
And
exactly.
I feel like the world just did a really nice, hoop jump.
Oh man, putting people through hoops without completely ignoring the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, this isn't supposed to be a political conversation here, but so the kingdom of the world blinds and then terrorizes its citizens, but the kingdom of heaven, the one that Yahshua talked about, it's good to its citizens because it gives them eyes to see and ears to hear, right? So it unblinds them, and then it provides a way to have shalom no matter what happens.
Does the world promise that?
Yes, it does. It says if you meditate, if you do all, I'm not even going to make the moves. If you have yoga, if you, you do, there's all kinds of ways I think the world promises. Like Yahshua says, I bring peace and shalom, not like the world gives it, but it's a greater, better peace, better shalom.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the world has its own form of that, which is basically zoning out. So in yoga, you're channeling, that's one way people are doing it. That Mother Earth thing going on. They also do it through addictions. There's all kinds of ways I think the world offers.
Well, I was just wondering, like,
Self-medicating,
even just these policies and procedures, like if you stay home. Then, It's not stated,
totally.
but isn't it implied that everything is going to be okay if you do what we tell you?
If you do what, exactly.
We'll not be able to deliver.
Never. It will take your life away.
Right.
In the end.
Okay.
In the end, it will take your life away. All right. So, so the kingdom of Yehovah, the kingdom of heaven, will give you eyes to see and ears to hear, and it gives you a better peace than the world gives, so that you can endure to the end. Okay, so here's one of the ideas is that we look at like our situation right now, and we're like, it's never been like this. Well, okay, there are a lot of things about this that has never been. The global idea, global thing, yes. But everybody, I think in all generations, have had to deal with the world. So all kingdom people who lived back, 100 years ago had issues to deal with that were awful, that were on the level of persecution. Every century has had multiple horrible things. Right. So this isn't a new thing. This is just ramped up, and you can tell it's ramped up because it's global, and things went so fast. Like, I wanted to make a point that Yehovah's kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, doesn't give peace priority, if you want to say, to the elite studied, like those that know the prophecies. Because this is one of the questions on the table was, do I know enough? Do I know prophecy enough to know if this is it? If I need to run to the hills,
Okay.
Is this the time to get out of the banks? Is this the time to sell my house? Is this the time to take my kids out of school? Is this the time to, everybody's like freaking, not everybody, but some of the questions I'm sure that a lot of people are struggling with is, and having passed through their head at least, is on what level do I need to take this to?
Mm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know enough. I don't know Revelation enough. I don't know Daniel enough. I don't understand it enough. But I really want to help Israel remember that part of the beauty of the kingdom of light and Yehovah is that he's not an elitist. He doesn't give his knowledge he doesn't give what he needs everyone to do to just the top crust that see that what all the prophecies mean and know or have insight into what's coming down. I don't think any of us truly know because we're human. We're on this side of the planet. I mean, none of us are Daniel. None of us are John. None of us are those two guys who it was given to. I know there's things that it says in there that we should know, but at the same time, I'm like, how is Hadassah going to know? She's not. But here's the thing. She's got something that is more important than having the head knowledge of, well, I know what that beast represents, and I know what that represents, and that is, and I'm looking in the news, and where I've got to find the right news source so that I can make sure and match it up and make sure that I've got my exit route mapped out and stuff, But Hadassah's got something way more important that's going to get her through it,
Which is
she is sold out. She is sold out to Yehovah. She loves him. She knows him. And there's not a doubt in her mind that he's a good daddy. Not a doubt in her mind. So, okay, so here we go. I want to go into the how for a few minutes because this is the important thing, unless you have something else to say.
Well, okay. So we're going to talk about the how.
Thinking. Yes.
Okay.
Let's talk about the how, because that's the issue is, I had the question posed to me this week, how? Like, how do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
How do I approach the end of it? How do I approach, the idea of, do I know enough? Is my faith strong enough? How do I know that I'm going to be saved? How do I know how to deal with, the ramifications and the consequences of living in the world but not being a part of it, Because that's it's a good question, and we have to have a handle on the how, and I think we can, and I don't think it is at all about knowing prophecy well enough to kind of run ahead of Yehovah.
That's what I was thinking about. That's what I was trying to find some words for. I don't think it's like the it's not like, it's not our mission. I mean, it's not like, it doesn't give us the instructions of what we're supposed to do, really.
No, because Yahshua already gave the instructions on what we're supposed to do.
Right, that's not what it's for.
No.
And
I think it's for our hope. I think it's for our joy. I think it's to say, whoa, I see this incredibly weird, wacky, illogical stuff coming from the kingdom of the world. What is it? Oh my, yes, he's on the way. Aslan is on the move. Yeshua's on the move. I'm so excited. Yehovah's like, Yeshua's like pulling those seals off. Yes. And I think it's for encouragement, honestly.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah. And I always thought maybe it was for a, like kind of a marker.
Yes, a marker.
So that when you see this, then you'll know.
Right.
Then you'll know where we're at on the, in the time frame. Not to say, well, this needs to happen next, so let's see if we can get that.
So we can make it happen.
Make that happen.
We've seen, right? I think we've been some people we've been watching, and I'm not going to mention names, but there's been different ministries we've watched over the course of the years, and you go, you're trying to force, prophecy to happen, to be fulfilled. You're trying to force it. We can feel it. It's like. I don't know.
If the
maybe
I don't know. Just like in a wartime, like in a type of what do you call it? Analogy. Like if the boots on the ground knew what the generals were planning, they might try to go out and do it themselves.
Yeah.
They might freak out.
They might defect.
And
run away.
and not, and not ever go in.
Right.
And they might not be paying attention to what's right in front of their face.
Exactly.
Which is what we're supposed to need to be reacting to and acting on.
That's huge, Isaac. Right. Which goes into my number 2 thing on my second M. My second M is manna. Okay, so we have MMRRO, and it's Mikvah, Manna, Remember, Ruach, Obey. So that's my inoculation there for you. And we're going to go through that. But that's the number 2. That's manna. So let's talk about that for a second. Manna, one day at a time.
Okay, that's why you call it manna, because it's daily.
Yeah, it's one day at a time. So, it's like you're saying, if you were worried about something that is still in the future, you're looking for that, you're ignoring what's right in the front, right here. And I think that goes along with what happened today at the orthodontist. I'm looking at that going, it's in my face right this moment. What am I going to do? Am I going to practice with this very small thing? I'm going to practice my conviction and say no and pay the consequence for that no. Or am I going to just kind of, it's all right. It's not that big of a deal. Because the next time, it could be a bigger issue. And then I won't have built up that knowledge of, and that exercise, that muscle of, So if we're looking too far, like you said, then we wouldn't get that, we wouldn't make the right choice at that moment. Or if we look too far and say, well, it's not quite here yet, so I think I can fudge this one. What? Really? Because here's what's going to happen. You do that, and then it's going to get to it's like a frog being boiled alive is what's going to happen. At some point, all of a sudden you'll be in way over your head, and you won't know how to react, and you'll probably make the wrong decision, and you won't have been practicing your convictions, living by them, and paying the consequence for those convictions in the face of persecution, really. So, I had to ask a couple people I talked to this week about this, and I had to say, hey, is somebody right now at your door with a gun telling you to get in the train? And of course not. Right. Then why panic about tomorrow when today you're fine? Today you're free. Today you have food. Today you have toilet paper. Today you're still in your house. Today your family's still together. Today is good. And it's like Yahshua says, he's like, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough trouble of its own. Worry about this moment. Did you react properly in this moment, or did you try to hoard up the manna for tomorrow? Well, it's going to go bad, Israel. Remember, hello, it's going to go bad. Okay, so I always say this. I'm like, you could go ahead and stock up, whatever you want, have a ton of food in your freezer, and the electricity could go out and everything gets spoiled. Or the earth could open up and swallow everything you have. And then what are you going to do, Israel? What are you going to do then? If you don't know your Elohim, you're in big problems. You got big problems. You don't know your Elohim.
Are we going to talk about that?
We can. Do you want to talk about knowing your
Elohim? Is that coming?
This is remember. Yes, under the remember part. So under my manna, my number 2, the idea is to not worry about tomorrow. Trust Yahweh and practice today. Practice stuff today. Not put it off till tomorrow. Okay. There's no time for that anymore. I'm fired up today, man. I was wanting to do this video so bad. Right. There's not time. You don't have time to kill anymore. You must start practicing this as much as you practice exercising. And if you don't exercise, bad. But you know what? This should trump exercise. This should trump eating. It should trump sleeping. It should trump everything. This is so gold right here. Okay, so go ahead.
I just feel like I should speak to somebody out there who needs to be told or reminded that today needs you.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love you. That's really beautiful. today needs you. It's true.
It's okay to be in today. Today actually needs you. And if you're always in the worried about then, you're gonna miss something about today that needs you.
Right.
You know, maybe it's your lawn.
Absolutely.
That needs mowed.
Or your
cat needs its ears scratched, or maybe something bigger than that. I don't know.
Or you're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss the opportunities that this day brings if you worry about tomorrow. And in the more days you stack up behind you worrying about the future, the less life you have built, the less you've done for the kingdom. You know, I don't feel like this is a time to be quiet. I don't think this is a time to hide. I don't see anywhere in Yeshua's ministry where he said, time to hunker down, time to go hide. He never said that. He never said that. He said, put your light up on a lampstand and stop putting it under a bushel, is what he said. So he didn't say, and when you see these things, then go ahead and put your light under a bushel. No, there's one time when he said that, and he said, when you see these things happen in Jerusalem or Judea and Samaria, then don't go back and get your... Well, that is a direct command for a direct time, for a direct place in time, location. So, you know, it's not like you can take what he said about Judea and Samaria and apply it to North Idaho. It's not the same. The abomination of desolation is not going to happen in North Idaho.
Right.
Or in Southern California, or in New York, or in Florida. It's going to happen in one location. That's a specific thing. All right, so any more on that? Okay, so let's go on. Okay, let's go back to number 1. Okay, so I have MMRRO. That's your inoculation. So the first M is Mikvah. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the Mikvah. Okay, so this is how I really think that kingdom people living at a master level and who want to really walk. I'm not gonna say sail through, because it's not gonna be a sail. It's gonna be hard, but to walk through the end of the age with the shalom and the open eyes that are offered to citizens of his kingdom. Okay, so you do these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 MMRRO things, and I really think you're going to have a better chance at living at the master level here and actually being part of the solution to his kingdom, as in preaching the good news, as in finding people, as in helping people, you know, find the path and fishing for people, then part of the problem and acting like the world. And if you're acting like the world, then you're part of the world, you know. So we're gonna learn how to be set apart. Okay, so Mikvah. Okay, so I just want to remind Israel, who believes in Yeshua HaMashiach, that there is a mikvah of identification that you're supposed to go through. Okay, this isn't like an option. This is like you must. Okay, Yeshua said it, not me.
So you want us to go dunk in the water?
We have dunked in the water. Okay, so you must participate in the mikvah of identification. Okay, you must go under the water. What does that mean? You're dying. Okay, if you didn't come back up out of the water, what would happen?
Yeah, fish food.
You'd be fish food. You're dead. You're dead. Okay, so you're gonna die with him, correct? And then you raise to life in his resurrection with him. Okay, the only reason on the other side of that death that you are breathing at all is because of him and what he has made a way for. He's made a way for you to walk. Okay, so the breath that you breathe on the other side of popping up out of that water is because he said that he wants you to live, and he provided the way for you to live. So at that point, you are owned completely by him.
Better say it again.
At the point that you come out of that mikvah, you are owned completely by him. It says so in the scriptures. Totally does. It says, you are not your own anymore. You are bought with a price. You're bought. You're bought. So some people are, you know, they put the all, like me, I put the, you know, the all in the ear kind of thing. So I'm a bond servant. But, you know, as a priest, knowing he's calling a royal priesthood, we all are supposed to be bond servants. This isn't like a hierarchy priesthood. You have Yahshua, who is the high priest, but guess what? He's collecting his priests, and he says that we get to sit on the throne with him. This is amazing, and that's another story. Mm-hmm. But okay, so you have to remember you're dead already. You like that phrase?
I do. And remember, if he hadn't called you and led you to the life that we have now, we'd be dying somewhere else.
Right.
Or dead.
Right.
Still somewhere else.
I mean, how many times have I heard people tell me, like, they've thanked me for my ministry and just said, and they've been in tears, like thinking, where would they be if they hadn't had the light, hadn't had light shown to them on the path? I shine the light on the path, and then they find Yahshua and they find the narrow path, and wow. And they're like mortified about where they were and what was going to happen to them. Mm-hmm.
But I do love the phrase.
You like the phrase,
I find it's comforting and
dead already.
It's funny enough, but it's true enough.
Who said? Oh, Cool Runnings, the movie.
Are you dead, man?
You're dead, man.
Yeah,
that was
so
fun.
They used it. I think I heard that in the Band of Brothers series. They did about World War II and stuff. And there's this one guy who's like more seasoned, and he's just like cool as a cucumber in a foxhole, while some other guys are freaking out. Yeah. And it's like, how can you be calm, like with the bullets flying over your head and everything? And he's like, hey, you're already dead.
That's
remember,
right.
He's like, you got to remember, you're already dead.
Right. I think that is the key. That is one of the biggest keys to this whole thing, is letting go of your life.
I think so, because like when you look ahead and you think, oh, am I going to be able to handle this or sustain that, or what if they kill me, or worse, or what? Yep. You're already dead.
Okay.
They can't touch.
Right.
You.
Right.
I had a. Yeah.
Can you hold that thought?
Sure.
Okay. Don't forget it, because. Okay, fleeting squirrel, going almost here. Okay, come back. Oh, don't forget yours. Okay, so here's the thing: this is another thing that I'm having an issue with. Is like, we're all going, like, so many of us are going to, the worst possible case scenario of
True.
Like, they're all going to murder us, they're going to kill us, they're going to torture us. Where is that coming from?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You
like,
watch too much TV or something.
I
don't know.
I'm not saying that there aren't, or there hasn't been martyrs for a reason. Martyrs are, when you're a martyr, it's for a reason. It's not just for no reason. There is, and so, I just want to, like, I know that the history of the world has been super horrible, and there are super horrible things that have happened, but I don't think that they're localized. They're kind of like, this is the first time that we're talking a global situation, and why do we always run so quick to, we're going from 0 to like 80. There's nothing in between here.
Right.
I mean, you're talking to two people that lost everything and lived in the mountains for 4 years during our wilderness time, and it was a time of trouble. And we accepted that time of trouble, and it was hard for us. And people were like, oh, when time of trouble comes and we have to run to the mountains, you're going ahead of us and you're going to teach us how. I'm like, your time of trouble probably already came and you probably missed it because you didn't take the opportunity to actually go through it. We have. And so it's not, but we weren't strung up on a rack somewhere. It's just that we went through it was so hard. It was super hard, but it required the same kind of thing.
Can I make an observation?
Yes, please.
It's different when you're in it.
Yes.
Okay?
Absolutely.
Somebody needs to hear this.
Yes.
Like, you can endure a lot more than you think.
Yes. Oh, totally. Oh.
Okay.
When we were at the teepee, big realization. Oh, yes.
When you're in the comfort of your own home and your own semi-normal life and thinking about those extreme situations,
Yeah.
Like when you're like in with all your senses and in your normal like
right.
state. Yeah, that is so far away and so foreign. That's
Right.
like, yeah, it seems like there's no way.
Right.
But when something goes down, then, you know, the adrenaline starts going.
It does.
And
yes.
you start shifting gears.
Yes.
And
right.
we have a lot of gears.
we do.
Whatever
like
you want
truck.
to call it, you can like shift into this other
you can.
mode, and you can just do what
what needs to be done. What you just do what
you know.
What's in front of you. And that's where the manna idea with number 2, going one day at a time. It's like, what's in front of me right now? Oh, I have to scrounge around in the woods to find wood to feed the fire so that my family doesn't freeze to death tonight. Okay, if I'm sitting in the suburbs on a couch watching somebody on TV do that, and you thinking, oh, I could never do that. Well, you know what? Get into that situation. And you can. You totally would. It's a different mode.
But you have a really good point, though, about why do we always go to those extremes? Because what if most people are like, end up living like just a long, normal, boring life?
Well, you know,
I mean, do you really want that?
Like,
too? It doesn't make for a very good story, but it's like,
no. I mean, what would you have to tell in future? You know, when the king says, "Hey, I want to hear your story," or not him, but I want you to tell other people your story. I mean, you're like, well, I, you know, got an extra bag of toilet paper when it was really, you know. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Two for one.
Yeah, and really, like,
I don't know, like,
to like, yeah, nobody wants to die young, but I don't think that.
But why do we even go to that? Why are we talking
it's also,
death?
But living like an entire lifespan on this planet isn't necessarily easy.
That's
either.
hard. Living is harder than dying, people.
So, you know,
living is so much harder than dying.
It all's got its own challenges, and I don't think we should give so much. It's not fair to give so much weight to the extreme cases and possibilities when
it gets too much of our energy.
Yeah,
it really does.
Fair.
No, and it really, again, it goes into number 3 here, where we're forgetting our Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. When we speak those words, I do not speak those words. I am not acting like, talking like the pagans, or the Christians or the believers who are talking like the world. I'm not doing that. I will not do it. I will not say, you know, I'm not giving those words energy. I'm not giving those thoughts energy to keep in the front of my mind. It's like, I have too much to do for the king right now. I don't have time. My life is not my own. I don't have time to be worried about myself. Just don't have it. I got stuff to do for him, because on the other end of this is some awesome stuff. So do you remember what you were going to say earlier? Probably not.
Oh, I think I kind of said it.
Did you say it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we had number 1. Okay, so it's, remember, I'm giving you there's an immunization here for Israel against the world, and it's MMRRO, and the first M was Mikvah. Okay, so you're already dead, lay your life down, let it go. You know, you lose your life to gain it. You know, self-preservation is sin. You don't want to do that. You know, you're bought with a price, that sort of thing. Okay, so Mikvah is the first one. Number 2, the second M, is the manna, one day at a time. You know, look at what's going on right now in your life. Like, is the emergency right there, right now? I don't think so. Not to worry about tomorrow. Yahshua says, and trust Jehovah. And practice right now. Mm-hmm. Practice today. Give yourself to today. All right. So the R, the first R, the third letter in this inoculation is R. And it is remember. And I'm going to add a word to that. Diligent remembering.
Ooh. Good.
The one thing that Israel is not very famous for, unless they want to remember the bad things that Yahweh did to them. Then they're pretty good at that. But, right? Okay, so remember. Okay. I'm going to help you remember Israel. If you have forgotten, which Okay, so Israel, scattered. I want you to remember that there are the feast days for a reason. Almost every single spring feast, Yahweh says, remember that you were once slaves in Egypt. Remember that I delivered you. Remember the manna. Remember the water. Remember. And I think he says that because he knows we're going to forget. Okay? He says it over and over and over because we're going to forget him. We're going to forget what he did. And I think he also says that because he may not be able to come through like that and part the sea every single time you expect it. So when it doesn't happen, he says, remember that he did do it. And to remember that he can, that he did, that he can, that he will, All right. So, and then also that the Exodus is just amazing. I mean, that whole story in there is just not only was it historical, not only is it part of our history as Israel, but it's there. So, and all the things they're finding, the artifacts and stuff, to really nail in this whole idea of who he is and what he's capable of. Okay, he is completely capable of taking and turning the enemies on themselves. He's completely capable of taking the world and letting the world eat each other up and destroy each other. Okay, so you have it. I mean, we see it all the time. You see, the Midianites, the Amalek, in a lot of the battles back in the Old Testament, you see how he turned them on themselves. So they're killing each other instead of where they were trying to go to harm Israel, right? Hello, you can kind of see it happen. Like, I'm seeing the world destroy its own people psychologically right now, especially they're destroying the mind. They're making them slaves. And I'm a citizen of the other kingdom, and I do not feel controlled by the world. I don't feel like my psyche's going mad, so he's going to remember that he will destroy our enemies. He said it, not me. He said it, and I love it because I got some enemies that I can't wait to see him destroy, and you might freak out about that and you may not like that, but you know what? My Elohim is huge, and he said he's going to destroy Amalek. He's going to wipe that name away from all our minds. He's going to destroy them completely. So, he's that water that came over the Egyptians. That's him. He did that. He did a lot of things like that because he is the righteous judge. He has the right to do that. He has the right to vindicate when he wants to, and he will. He's he's not the pathetic, politicians we have right now that never can make a choice, a decision, and follow through with it. This is a dad who's had his children terrorized, and he's going to go after the ones that have harmed his his children. And the world has not treated his people good, and we're in the world, but we're not of it. So we're going to be affected by the world. So we can rise above it, absolutely, but we're still going to be affected by it. And Hasadan has stolen so much from us, hands down. And Yahweh is so excited to destroy the evil and to get rid of it, and then to bring back paradise restored, to bring back everything he intended to bring back. And so that's part of, to remember the plan of salvation. And we see the plan of salvation in the feast days. I mean, I think it's so cool how we see, everything that is, the plan is right there. It's amazing. And so we need to remember that. And if we're celebrating the feast days all year long, then we're going to have a better chance at remembering. Active remembering is what I really want to drive home here. When Yahshua said, I have overcome the world, what do you think that means? Yahshua said it. I have overcome the world. How cool is that? So the world, we're in the world but not of it. So through him, we can actually be in the world but not part of it. We can overcome the world just like Yahshua did on one level.
Didn't that same verse also say, be of good cheer?
Be of good cheer. Yeah, it does. Right. I really think that people of Yehovah are going to be, celebrating feast days and having great joy, and because they're not going to be terrorized like the nations. They're going to be excited for the king to come back, excited to be seeing it actually show up. This is another thing. We're going to be one of two groups of people, my friends. Two groups of people. One group of people got to see Yahshua come as the lamb, and one group of people is going to get to see with their own eyes him come as king. Ah! I mean, how cool is that? I mean,
okay, I got you. To be alive at that time.
Oh, yeah. So, this thing is hot. I want to take it off.
Are you warm?
Yeah, it's
nice.
super hot. Okay. All right, so, okay, so another thing about number 3, or the third R, remember, is that, okay, so I feel like there's a disconnect, and probably you could help me here. I feel like there's a disconnect between, I feel like I'm in front of Isaac. I feel like there's a disconnect between Yahshua and Yehovah. Okay, so in the Old Testament, you see Yehovah really super frustrated with us, okay? Because Israel didn't obey, and Israel kept exasperating him. He tried to give them everything, and all they did was turn on him. And so he was father disciplining. Right. Okay, if you do this, then this is going to happen. And they did do that, and so that did happen because he's a parent. He's going to follow through, right? So you commit idolatry, you go away from me, and you serve other gods, then I'm going to bring in Nebuchadnezzar, and I'm going to take you away. I'm going to burn up Jerusalem. I'm going to and he does all this. And so we look at that, and we feel like, ooh, Yehovah is scary, and maybe there's a part in us that doesn't trust him. Mm-hmm. Because we see the stories of the Old Testament. You know what I'm saying?
We've read the stories about all the
people
who died or were carried off into captivity or slavery.
Right. And so we're like, oh, is he going to do that to us now? But here's the thing, is that he sent his son. And what does Yahshua say? Yahshua says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, right? Mm-hmm. I am in him, and him in me. You've seen me, seen the Father. And what does Yahshua do the entire time? He never, ever destroys anything. Well, except in the temple, he turned some tables. And what did you say earlier?
One fig tree.
He destroyed a fig tree. Okay, so Yahshua he didn't come here to to discipline like Yehovah did. Yahshua came to show restoration. And so if he says, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, it's like the heart of the Father is what we see in Yahshua, who is all about restoration and restoring. Mm-hmm. He wasn't about, trying to get my children to obey me by punishing them. It was different. So,
well, and he also modeled the resurrection.
Exactly.
Right? So he endured some stuff.
Yes.
Even before he died and stuff. And people saw that, but then a few days later, there he was.
There he is. Right. Yeah, so he had to endure.
And fine.
Yeah, he had to endure the wrath of Yehovah for the sake of him being the lamb and all sin put on him, and have that separation. He had to endure that. But then on the other side of that, he got the restoration. That's what Papa wanted to give. So
we need to remember that.
Right.
That we're dead now, but we will be raised.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of first fruits. First fruits is awesome because we get to see what the end is going to be for the citizens of the kingdom of heaven. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so good. You don't want to give that up for anything. Nothing. Okay, so let's see. That goes into, and then, the idea that he sees every single sparrow that falls. He sees, there's all kinds of things, verses in the Old Testament that talk about the heart of Yehovah. David knew Yehovah, and it's so funny because he's like, oh, sister, I rejoice in your commands, da 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 da, and you love me so much and everything. And then all of a sudden, like, things happen, and he's like, oh, his heart's on the floor, and he's like, you've abandoned me. Where are you? And then something good will happen, and I think we're kind of like that sometimes. But I see this loving Elohim in the Old Testament as well as somebody who's just Elohim. So to remember that he's for us, not against us.
Right.
I don't think you can spend enough time contemplating that, because your ticket through this into the age is going to be, how well do you trust him? And you can't trust him if you don't know him. So there's the practice, like the scripture says that Israel tested him to see if he was among them in their midst, and then he tested them to see if they trust him. Hi, buddy.
Sure.
Okay. We'll be back. Okay, so had to throw some more light on, and we're almost done. So we wanted to so we need to talk about two more parts of my inoculation for Israel. The fourth letter, the last R in this, is Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Okay, so it's MMRRO, M Mikvah, M Manna, R remember, R Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Okay, so the Ruach Ha'Qodesh is our helper. Okay, Ezer Kenegdo. This is our Ezer. Okay, so every time Israel was in deep, deep trouble, Israel screamed out for their Ezer. And they were always like, okay, let's get down. So, okay, so when Israel was in desperate need of help, Israel cried out for their Ezer. That's the Hebrew word. When they cried out for help, they wanted their Ezer. And the Ezer basically means lifesaver. And a woman is called Ezer Kenegdo, yeah? Lifesaver. So think about that for a while. But anyway, so the Ruach HaQodesh is called our Ezer, all right, our helper. So the other thing about this I want you to know is, like, the Ruach HaQodesh, like remember, like, all throughout history, like Joseph was woke up in the middle of the night to take his baby and wife and flee to Egypt. There's been times where the Ruach or an angel will be sent or something to help guide the way to preserve those people's lives. And I think we're not giving Yahweh credit for caring about our lives. Do you know what I'm saying? I think we're like thinking, we're just a part of the mass. And so what he's going to, he's kind of forgetting about the individual person, and it's just going to be a mass thing. Israel mass, in the kingdom of heaven. I feel like people think the whole thing is going to be blanketed and all of us are just going to be like, slaughtered or whatnot.
Yeah,
and
that's one thing I remember from
wait a minute.
Back at 9/11 was all the stories that started coming out later about person after person who was not in the towers.
Not in the tower.
For this reason, that reason, and the other. And
well, the towers were only 20% full. That Monday morning at 8:23 or whatnot, they were only 20% full, which was phenomenal. It was totally unheard of. And it's because of traffic jams and people cutting their finger. And I mean, check that out. I remember a story. Somebody cut their finger and they were bleeding so profusely they needed a Band-Aid, and they had no Band-Aids at home, and they had to stop at the store to get Band-Aids on the way, but there was so much traffic that they had a really hard time. But they did, and it took up all this time, and in the whole process, the towers fell that they were going to be in. I mean, so we think, he wouldn't cut my finger for that. Maybe he would. To keep you out of the bad one. You know what I'm saying? So I think the Ruach HaQodesh is the key to everything. She's wisdom. She's going to help you know, what to do. If there needs to have something, if you need to do something, you're going to have things sit on your gut and they're going to get hot. They're going to get heavy. They're going to be like, you won't be able to shake it kind of thing. Who knows what's going to, ouch, I bit myself. Who knows what's going to happen at the end of the age? I mean, we could have angels showing up and telling us what to do. We could have letters coming in the mail from Yehovah. We could have money dropping into our pocket, into our account from who knows where. When we were at the teepee, we got great practice at this. So many incredible things happened that were, it was from Yehovah. There's no other explanation for it. Yeah. So we gave good practice.
But don't panic about hearing from the Ruach and saying,
oh, yes.
Is the Ruach trying to tell me to go here or to go there or to do this or to do that? It's like,
yeah.
Just
calm down.
Relax.
Calm down.
They got it.
Right.
That's
right.
That's their department.
That's right.
Okay,
yes.
and it's not like you got one chance and if you missed it, then it's all over.
Right. That's a good point.
Haven't they not proven themselves to be able to do workarounds?
Yes. And to say it a multiple amount of times. It's like Ali said in one of the trainings. She's like, we are serving in a God who likes to communicate, who does everything possible. Yehovah wants us to understand, and he does everything possible to try to get his message across to us. So why would he desert us in this time? It's unfathomable. It's unthinkable. He's not going to. And the Ruach Ha'Qodesh is going to be a key to that. That's a really good point, though, is like, if you spend too much time thinking, is she talking to me? Is she not? Am I missing something? Or is she not? Exhausted. Okay, so here's my take on that is like, you know what? If I miss something, they love me so much, they're going to try to tell me again and again and again and again. Okay? And I'm confident that if I did the wrong thing, that they will again be with me in that and tangent and then pull me back to wherever I was supposed to be. Or maybe it doesn't matter. Here's a thought. Maybe it just plainly doesn't matter where you live. Maybe it doesn't matter what car you drive. Maybe it doesn't matter who you marry, really. Maybe it doesn't matter so much to him. Maybe it's, we put things on we give things too much weight.
I think that's a good point.
Who was it? John Eldridge says, he is the one that kind of helped us see that. I was like, wait a minute, does it really matter what socks you put on this morning? No. Does it really matter where you live all the time? Not in every situation. No. One of the things I've kind of looked at in this whole everything going on right now is like, is there a safe place anywhere? No. No.
Ooh, that would have been another great point to make.
What?
That there's no safe place.
Well, you're making it.
Yeah.
The safest place to be is right where Papa wants you, which is with him, And I think that you can be with him in a very multiple circumstances and places.
That's true. I mean, yeah. People think, if I lived in the mountains, if I had a teepee, if I had an RV, if I had a gun, if I was in Israel, whatever.
Right.
But I think, that's a good point. There is no safe place.
There is no safe place. That whole teepee time, that was a big part of our conversation. We were trying to figure out, he's moving us out of the city. We felt like, there was a series of events that happened to downtown Coeur d'Alene on our way out that were like, we felt like there were his thumbprints on the fact that we needed to leave. There was things that had never happened in Coeur d'Alene before, crazy things, and crime and stuff. And we were like, okay, well, we're leaving, and this must be the end of the age, and it was just practice. Yeah. And
if here's another thing.
Yeah.
Where we need to get a reality check by observing our own actions.
Mm-hmm.
If we're losing sleep over wondering, am I missing the instruction? the Ruach, or is Papa trying to tell me to go somewhere and I'm missing it? Am I being disobedient? Blah, blah. Okay, let's check our actions. Are you deliberately breaking the covenant?
Bingo.
You know?
Bingo.
That should be like the measure.
Right.
Not am I living in the right state, or am I...
Right.
Like...
Right.
You know.
Because he can't do as much for us as he can if we're out of covenant. You've got to be in covenant.
Yeah. So, I mean, should be just look... If you're not... I mean, yes, if... There's no place he can't work with us and work with to bring about his goals.
Right.
Okay. But there are places that we're not supposed to be, and that would be like at the Christmas party on Friday night.
Right.
Or
oh my gosh.
Whatever.
Some of the things that have come down the pike, and when we used to watch the news, we would just look at each other and go, that person knew they weren't supposed to be there at that much. I mean, I'm thinking of some, maybe I shouldn't even mention, but
yeah, we don't need to get into that.
But that idea that to be where he asked you to be, when he asked you to be at there, then you become so his problem that you've died to yourself. You've gone through that. What happens to you is his problem. It's his name that you're proclaiming, and what happens to you is going to not reflect you as much as him.
Right.
There's something really cool about that. Oh, okay. Well, that kind of leads into number 5, but go ahead.
No, I think we made a couple of good points there.
Yeah, you did it. I'm glad they're documented. That's good.
Okay.
So that just leads to the last letter of this inoculation, which is O, which is active obedience.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I know, right? You just knew. We were just flying there. Active obedience. So here's my inoculation for Israel in these latter days to help you have the shalom that passes all understanding as we go through a crazy time, bumpy ride, getting to the end result, which is the King coming back and getting to be part of that crowd that gets to see him come back. Super exciting. But here's the inoculation, okay? To help keep you focused, to help keep your mind from going insane like the citizens of the world are doing, to keep you, grounded in shalom, having shalom in YHVH Elohim, not in the peace that the world offers, and making smart decisions. So it's MMRRO, okay? Mikvah, Manna, remember, Ruach, obey. And I think if you concentrate on those 5, you don't need to listen to the news. You don't need to know what the world is doing. You don't need to know prophecy like the back of your hand and really, really understand it. You don't need to understand. This is good. This is good enough for the young and the old, for the illiterate and the literate, for the uneducated and the I'm using my hands. That's probably not a good idea, but the old, the young, the literate, the illiterate. I mean, just it's for everyone. It's simple. And the active obedience, that right there is crucial. Oh, one thing on the Ruach Ha'Qodesh I didn't mention, which I want to really quickly here, is that you have to be born again. So number 1, you have to have the mikvah that Yahshua talked about. Okay, water. But he said also you must be born again. So what is it? Mikvah of water and fire. I mean, mikvah of suffering right there is, the fire and the outpouring of the Ruach, which would be here in the Ruach. But he talks about being born again.
Yeah, water and spirit.
Water and spirit. Born again through the womb of the Ruach Ha'Qodesh. Oh, okay. Ruach Ha'Qodesh is feminine in nature. Feminine nature. She is feminine. Feminine entity there in the family of Elohim. And we are born again through her womb. Okay, so that means that you get a new identity. Okay, you actually get a new last name. You have a new family. Okay, and as part of that new family, there's rules over here in this family that you have to obey in order to prove that you are still wanting to be part of that family, basically, and that you were born again. Born again meaning, so much there. And we don't want to unpack that too much right now, but the idea of active obedience, super important. Super important. And you're going to find what you need to obey in the covenant, which is actually in the Ark of the Covenant, but is written down in Exodus 19 through 24. That's the covenant. That's the royal covenant. Okay, and I'm not going to go into the whole. I have other videos helping to understand, unpack, those things and what was nailed to the cross and what wasn't, what remains. But what I want you to know is it's not obeying the government. It's not obeying the religious denomination that's down the street. It's not obeying the religion of your parents. It's not obeying your parents who are astray. Active obedience means you're going to actively obey the family that you are reborn into. The rules of that family. You're born into this new family. You have a father, you have a mother, you have a brother, and there's rules and there's boundaries in that family. And are you obeying the covenant? And if you do, like Isaac said earlier, think of that. Concentrate on that. Look at that and make sure that you're in line with that. And then the protection, there's more opportunities, I believe, from what I see in the scriptures, there's more opportunities for him to bless you and protect you if you are in covenant. Keeping the covenant, that's what it means. In covenant means you're keeping it, you're doing it. If you just mouth the words and then do something different, then you're living in sin because you're breaking the covenant, okay? You're breaking the law. But there's more opportunity, I think, for him to give us what we need if we're actually doing what he asks us to do. And then it really becomes, we really lay our life down, and whatever happens, we know that he has ordained it. He has said that that's what he wants to happen. And we're not God. We're not Elohim. This is an Elohim-sized problem, people. The only thing that we can control is what we're doing with our life. And it's really, I think it's awesome to know that you can do something. I feel like when we were Christians, I didn't feel like there was anything I could actually, I was always wondering, am I saved? Am I not? I didn't know, completely. I think I am. The church says I am, but I wasn't settled. I didn't have that solid feeling of, I love Jesus, but there was always that, I don't know. But this is beautiful because there's actually something from beginning to end. You can see what you're doing or not doing. This is a covenant. This is like Ali says, I like the transaction. This is a transactional God, Elohim. And you do this, I will do this.
Right.
So, and I have to believe that. I'm hanging everything on it.
Yeah, you are.
I am. I am. And another thing, I know, and then we'll go here, but it's almost Shabbat here. But the idea of, he says, Yahshua says to love Yehovah with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your everything. Right? And I had somebody point out, your everything. So if you're not thoroughly drained in doing for him, you haven't given him your everything. Give him your everything. What does that mean? And I think this MMRRO thing, with the Mikvah, the idea of the Mikvah, first giving him everything, as in letting your own life go. That's and practicing that every single day as you move through life, and as we stack up days behind us, as we get closer to the end of the age, or a time when he's going to come. Practicing that every single day, letting go. Not grabbing. Ooh, I've got to read. Okay, so one thing I just wanted to just note here. Josephus. Josephus is pretty awesome. I'm liking Josephus a lot. So I just want to read you something, and then we'll go. So Josephus, this is in the diligent remembering idea. So for my master level students here in, not students, but people who are part of Rebekah's Inner Circle, I want to help you live at a master level. So I want to like just show you what Moses did and what he said to Israel back here. It's super amazing. So I think as a leader, one of the things that a leader does is help other people remember. I really think that's probably, in Israel especially, that's like more what we do than anything, right? That's what the prophets did. Remember, this is where the gate was. Get back in, you know. So this is 3 days after Yehovah parts the waters and destroys their enemies and brings them across the other side. And 3 days later, they are without water. And they had been on a trade route that had water, so it was available. So we didn't hear their grumbling there because they had water. But when they get through on the other side, now they don't have any water. So it's 3 days, and they still see the pillar of cloud there. Heavens. So 3 days, and they are so frustrated with Moses, they are going to stone him. So Josephus says that they had picked up stones and ready to stone him. And this is what is so cool. He goes, wait, where is it? Yeah, it's right here. Oops. Here we go. Oh no. Sorry. Book 1, chapter, there we go. Oh no, where'd it go? I think I'm in chapter 3. Chapter 3. Okay, so, okay. Sorry.
I guess you could edit that out later.
I will. Or not. Okay. Here it goes. But as for Moses himself, while the multitude were irritated and bitterly set against him, he cheerfully relied upon Yehovah and upon his consciousness of the care he had taken of these his own people. Okay? And how he came into the midst of them, even while they clamored against him, and blah blah blah. So he come in and now they had stones in their hands in order to dispatch him. Okay, so Moses was in an agreeable presence and very able to persuade the people by his speeches. Accordingly, he began to mitigate their anger and exhorted them not to be over mindful of their present adversities, lest they should thereby suffer the benefits that had formerly been bestowed on them to slip out of their memories. Okay, so he's going to remind them of what Yahweh has just done for them. All right, so here, what I think is so cool, the whole thing is really good. This is book 3, chapter 1 in Josephus. But he talks about how the same river was to the Egyptians bloody and not fit for drinking, but it was to the Israelites, the Hebrews, sweet and fit for drinking. So here in Josephus, it says that the same Nile River was bloody. All the water in the land was bloody for the Egyptians, but it was clean, fresh water for the Hebrews. Okay, so I really think Israel is focusing way too much on prophecy, way too much on other things, and they need to be remembering, actively remembering that Yehovah Elohim can totally put Goshen right over every single individual that he loves and he cares for, okay? So, and who's in covenant. He can give the benefit of protection like he did back here. Okay, so we don't have to think that the only one in control is the wicked, evil people. Papa obviously did a miracle here for them, and he's going to do more. Okay? All right, and then 2 more things here. He says, Yehovah had saved them in a surprising manner, that he had still the same power. He was trying to remind me, still had the same power, and that they might ought not even now to despair of his providence over them, and accordingly he exhorted them to continue quiet and to consider that help would not come too late, though it might not come immediately, if it be present with them before they suffer any great misfortune. That they ought to reason this. So he's saying, it might not come immediately, but it's not going to come too late. But if it begins to get hard, then he says, then I think you should consider this. So listen up, Israel.
Okay.
That Yehovah delays to assist them, not because he has no regard for them, but because he will first try their fortitude and the pleasure they take in their freedom, that he may learn whether you have souls great enough to bear want of food and scarcity of water on its account, or whether you rather love to be slaves, as cattle are slaves, to such as own them, and feed them liberally, but only in order to make them more useful in their service. Pretty
Good.
cool.
That's good.
Do you want to be a slave or do you want to be free? And to remember, he will not come through too late. All according to his timing. So remember, Israel. All right, there's your master level training for the first month of 2020. And YouTube audience, if you're watching, thanks for watching. Go over to Kingdom University and join up Rebekah's Inner Circle. And there's lots of things in there for you. Lots and lots of content. Check out the description below and those links. And then subscribe, obviously, to our channel. I hate saying that. Everybody has to say it. I don't know even why I have to say it. But anyway, hit the bell, hit subscribe, share it. All right. Shalom, Israel. I'm out of here. We're going to go eat. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Thank you
Uh-huh.
so much. I love bantering with you. Was there anything we missed?
That was good.
We didn't miss anything, did we?
Oh, there's so much you could say.
I know, right? Do you have anything burning in your heart to say?
Go and go.
I know, right?